Do you know how many people died in hospital due to medical error? In the United States, it's over 100,000 people a year.
Dr. J.D. Yang is a specialist in psychiatry and integrative medicine and is a fifth-generation practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine.
A lot of things Chinese medicine emphasizes is prevention, is the treatments before the problem becomes structurally damaging. You should help people with high blood pressure before they develop into stroke.
He's the CEO of Northern Medical Center and founder of the Yang Institute of Integrative Medicine.
If you ask a doctor today, what do you do every day? Besides prescribing medicine, they didn't do much else. So it's a shame.
This is American Thought Leaders, and I'm Jan Jekielek. Dr. J.D. Yang, such a pleasure to have you on American Thought Leaders.
Thank you for having me.
America's in an unusual situation. Americans are very unhealthy. At the same time, they spend incredible amounts on healthcare. What's really going on?
Well, it's simply put that in America, we really don't have a healthcare system, even though we call everything health insurance, health care, and this and that. But if you look at what we're doing for our patients, we're really trying to managing their disease and dealing with the crisis. So as far as health, and nobody really doing much about it. For example, if you see a primary care doctor, they run tests, they check on you, they say, well, you look fine. They give you clean bills, so-called, and then send you home. Come back next year. What are they waiting for? Literally, they're waiting for you to get sick, and they can find something that can do surgery or put you on medication. Until then, doctors are not very useful for you. But if that's the time, and then you already have lost your health. Same with health insurance. They don't pay anything to promote your health, prevent disease, but once they begin to pay you, trust me, you have lost your health. So really it's very misleading and a concept of we have a healthcare system. That's why we're not very healthy as a nation, because we allocate all our resources trying to deal with a consequences of problems or disease rather than to prevent it and find the root causes that cause those problems.
So, well, tell me, you have a quite unique approach. I've known you for quite some years, and you've been actually developing this approach, and I've been fascinated watching how these different elements of preventive medicine have come together in your work. So tell me about that.
Yeah, when I come to this country, I heard so many new definitions about different medicine, and we started with alternative medicine and complementary medicine, holistic medicine, the mind-body medicine, functional medicine, regenerative medicine, anti-aging medicine. And the one I like the best is called integrative medicine. But if you ask 100 doctors what integrative medicine really means, they all give you different kinds of answers. So I feel like we really need a medical model that is that provides a framework for education, for clinical care, service, and for research, also for self-care. So people can take that framework, easily apply them, and like a checklist they can do every day and to take care of themselves. So that medicine I called four-dimensional medicine because it addressed the fundamental 4 dimensions of human being. When I was thinking about it, I keep going back to what human being is made of, right? If you look at it, you really see 4 pillars. First of all, most superficially, we are structural being. We have hair, skin, muscles, bones, organs, nerves, all these structural parts of it. I call it an anatomy, right? An atomic part of us. And the second, to support that, we have a biochemistry. Now, within our body, we fundamentally have a majority of body has water. electrolytes, vitamins, minerals, amino acids, fatty acids, and the proteins and fat and neurotransmitters, hormones, all this biochemistry running inside us, that to make us the second dimension of human being. But if I drop dead today, I would have my same structure. I might have same biochemistry, but I'm dead. Why? Because I lost energy. In Chinese medicine called the qi. In modern medicine, we declare somebody died because their EKG is flat. That means they have no electronic activity in the heart. Then the brain does not have brain waves. That means no energetic activities in the brain. So modern medicine does recognize and measure energetic level of human being at the same time as Chinese medicine always called the qi. And when we say somebody died, we said he has stopped breathing or stopped having qi, right? So same concept. The third dimension is really the most important dimension, is energetic dimension of human being. And without that dimension, we don't have life, we don't have activities, we don't have feelings, thoughts, emotions, movements, okay? So all the signs of life is manifestation of the energy. But we began to see it, we measure it, and we even trying to intervene energetically. For example, today we have a cardiac conversion, electronic shock therapy, the transcranial magnetic stimulation therapy, neurobiofeedback, a lot of physical therapy using lasers and this and that. So we're doing more than energetic intervention to human body. But we don't understand what human energetic is about and what the human energetic physiology, psychology, and so on and so forth, because the visual barrier, just like air. You and I sit here, we think there's nothing between us. No, we're buried in the molecules of oxygen, air, right? But we don't see them. The same thing with a lot of energetic things going on in our body, we have a visual barrier. Imagine if we don't have X-ray machine today. We don't even know what your bone is like. But if I scan you with the X-ray machine, I bypass your thighs, your throats, everything. I only see your skeletons, right? So same thing, if we have that imaging technology, can see human being at, let's say, quantum level, and we might be able to visualize all the energetic activities and structures and movements in you. And that's what Chinese medicine was about. Somebody at some time had a capacity, I don't know how, and was able to visualize that and describe the medicine at a totally energetic dimensions. So that's really the value of ancient or classic Chinese medicine for today's healthcare, because we're not there yet. But last dimension is almost critical, is what a human being is really about. I like the saying that a human being is a spiritual being having a human experience. So what does that mean? That means really what lives in us is who we are. It's our soul, it's our spirit, it's our mind or consciousness, whatever you want to call it. So the dimension of the last dimension, but most important dimension, is how do we take care of that? Because almost that part of the health determines the rest of it. Human soul and spirit is almost like a human driver to a car, to our physical body. So if we don't take care of that spirit part, that soul part, and no matter what we do with this body, it's not going to be enough. So therefore, the fourth dimension has to be spiritual dimension. You have to put all these four together because they're interrelated, interdependent on each other. But with these four dimensions, it's a very simple, easy to conceptualize and easy to organize our learning materials, education, clinical service, and self-care. So you really need to check every day, what did I do for my structural physical health? What did I do for my biochemical balance? What did I do for my energetic abundance? And what did I do for my spiritual enlightenment?
Dr. Yang, we're going to take a quick break right now, and we'll be right back. And we're back with J.D. Yang, CEO of Northern Medical Center. Tell me a little bit about your background, because you're not just an acupuncturist, you're not just a psychiatrist, you really have been looking at medicine from a whole bunch of different vantage points.
Well, I have to say I'm very lucky. I was born to a family that has carried a traditional Chinese medicine practice for many, many, many generations. So all I can count, I can recognize as a fifth generation. So people say I'm a fifth generation of Chinese medicine practitioner and a teacher. And I started learning about when I was 13 years old. But when I had opportunity to go to medical school in China, my father, who taught me Chinese medicine, insisted I should go to medical school to learn the modern medicine because he believed at that time that combination of it should be the most powerful one. So I want to learn all the modern medicine, of course. That's where the confusion starts. Because, for example, Chinese medicine say the kidney is where determine the blood productions. And the modern medicine says, no, it's the bone marrow that produce the blood. And so until later, I discovered it was a hormone coming from the kidney that stimulated the bone marrow, and that produced the blood.
Fascinating.
That hormone is called erythropoietin. Today, it's become a medicine for people after chemotherapy because their bone marrow get inhibited. They get anemic. So they have to take this erythropoietin to stimulate the production of the red blood cell. Mm-hmm. But you can see the two parallel of the two medicine. And I always thought, okay, well, that discovery was in 1970s, 80s. And if people knew what Chinese medicine been saying for 1,000 years and took that seriously and studied that kidney, probably they discovered this hormone probably 50 years sooner, earlier. Again, I'm just saying. So that's why I recognize maybe when we do research, we should not using modern medicine methodology to test whether Chinese medicine is work or not. It's the opposite. We should use Chinese medicine theory as a hypothesis to design modern medical research. In this way, we probably will get groundbreaking discovery every day, not other way around. Does that make sense?
One of the things you hear a lot today, especially among people who are in this MAHA, Make America Healthy Again movement, they'll say, aha, well, there probably isn't a lot of money in those sorts of studies. You can't patent that, right? And that's the reason it's not being studied. There's a lot of suspicion that the large amount of money being made in the big pharmaceutical companies actually prevents cheap and preventative therapies from actually being the norm. What's your take on that?
Well, there's truth to that. Definitely people go into where they can generate profit, go where they can put their hands on. Because if you think about modern medicine, they start from what? Anatomy, dissect the dead body. So everything has to be visible, touchable, right? So that's where, so everything starts from there. But health doesn't start from something visible. Health starts from something, life starts from something invisible. Start from soul, right? Then you have energy. Then you have chemistry. Then you have a body, okay? And so therefore it's hard. So people do not get on the health part is because health is difficult. And nobody really knows how to take care of health. If they're getting information from pharmaceuticals, from the private sectors, they educate that every disease has a drug for it. And all you need to ask your doctor to give you medicine, that's it. Nobody get educated about how to eat, how to make choices in the food, how to sleep, how to exercise, and how to manage stress, how to recognize stress, and how to keep your energy flows. You know, if your doctor are paid only to prescribe medicine, only to talk to patients for 15 minutes, and only paid for doing surgeries, and they're not motivated to do anything else health-wise. And today is really bad. As you mentioned, I'll give you some specifics. So we think people sick should be hospitalized. Okay, great. But do you know how many people died in hospital due to medical error? Medical error means it's just by accident somebody made a mistake, that person died. That's called medical error. And in the United States, it's over 100,000 people a year. 100,000 people a year is the fourth leading cause of death, almost equivalent. But if you combine that with the infections in the hospital, contaminations, and other side effects of treatments, on top of that, there's called a adversary reaction of medication. You know, and that's another thing, another 100,000, you know, people would die from that. That means patients didn't do wrong things. They take the medicine as prescribed. Doctor didn't do anything wrong. They prescribed the medication according to the guidelines. It's just out of bad luck. There are 3 million emergency visits are caused by adversary drug reactions. Among them, 100,000 people would die. The current model of medicine heavily dependent on pharmaceutical products and surgical interventions is really not contributing too much to the health of the population, which really means they don't get into this point. They need this kind of intervention or need this kind of medication. So we have to define what really health is. You know, without that, we can't really transform our system from disease care to a health care.
You know, something that strikes me as we're talking here, again, it all comes down to this, the preventative or community medicine or preventative medicine. Oh, there's this whole sort of dimension. And there seems to be an interest in changing that in this new administration that's coming in. What do you think they should be doing?
We really need to allocate funding to study health. So that's one thing. Doesn't mean you have to spend more money. It just means you have a better ideas, better focus, and a better organization, utilization of existing infrastructure and the talents. In integrated medicine, we can do very vigorous research and produce the strong evidence and to support that. On the other hand, in the medical side, we need to establish exemplary medical centers, inpatient, outpatients, and everything between, to show how integrative health and medicine are practiced, applied to them. As example, not also as a training centers or teaching facilities. So that will be, I think we need that. Yes, we need to change everything else, but can we just build something, set of prototype, you know, show it works, show the outcomes, and show how it saves money for the government and for patients, how it gives access to everyone, and how it's actually generate better health outcomes. So United States is not at the bottom when we compare with the health status of other advanced countries, developed countries. I would strongly recommend to restrict or design different incentive system that make the surgeon to operate less, make the use of expensive imaging system less, and so that people can really utilize that when it is absolutely needed, and particularly not use it as a primary tool of diagnosing patients, but assistant tool. The primary tool should be doctor, and that will save a lot of money. And we should have a real health care insurance that reimburse health care providers like nutritionists, yoga teachers, acupuncturists, herbalists, and lifestyle counselors, and stress management specialists. We should really pay them to help the patients to stay healthy. And primary care doctors should be paid to prevent the patient from getting sick, not just check them and treat them when they're sick. And I think we should really limit pharmaceuticals to advertise directly to the general public. We should restrict their access to the governments and to save money on the lobbies. And they should not allow to fund research to the public institutions or universities. And they can do all the research in their own labs or something like that. There should be more regulation on that. Everybody, we don't need to increase our healthcare spending. We already overspend than any other countries. We just need to reallocate them so that patients can become the benefits and become healthier. Otherwise, the current system is patients in the way become a consumer of a medical system or whatever you call it, or establishment, and at the cost of their health. That's a really bad system.
Well, Dr. J.D. Yang, it's such a pleasure to have you on.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to have opportunity to communicate with you and your audience about four-dimensional medicine.
Thank you all for joining Dr. J.D. Yang and me on this episode of American Thought Leaders. I'm your host, Jan Jekielek.